Hey guys, Tigger up, Mike, g'day, Chirpy, g'day, good to see ya, Machine NZ, good to see ya, Tommy, hello, um, Chirpy, good video and casting, not too much information, is learned a lot from that last video and casting, that's really good, keep 'em up. Hi David, hi Craig. Hey Warren, g'day. What's happening? Anyone got bushfire problems? Marty's not in. I haven't been able to contact him really. Matty, I hope he's okay. I'm sort of not real good down there. Still, I think. Hi, Stephen. Good morning. Someone answered me this. Why on earth are my thumbnails always blurry? That annoys me. It bugs me. What do you want to look at first? I've got a box in the mail. Pretty cool. International Post from... Oh, gosh. What's written on here? There's an invoice in here. Cool. An envelope. From Holland, anyway. Netherlands. Haven't opened it yet. Only come today. Don't believe it's ticking, Chirpy. Hey, Peter. This is from a machinery dealer in Holland who has cool stuff from time to time that I can never afford. But because of a couple of really, really kind viewers, you guys know who you are. I'm not even going to shout you out. But thank you. At Christmas time, I bought this box of stuff from Holland. It weighs 7.5 kilos, which is more than really expected. I'm going to shift some stuff because we're sort of in the middle of doing some jobs. We'll have a look at these in a minute. But probably should have cleaned the bench off to start with. Of course, this sort of stuff's not available anywhere in Australia, and it's probably not really even available in the US. And that's what you get for having an orphan precision lathe that has some odd accessories. Hey, William. That's not so good. Hi, Raymond. Good to see you. Postage was about €67, something like that, which isn't too shabby for 7.5 kilos. These have been sitting on eBay for a long time and they've been marked down. Got a lot of cool Dutch newspaper. And I've been sort of biding my time because I really didn't want to pay what he originally listed them at, which is a bit selfish, but they're certainly well packed up. Don't think there's anything in all this balled up newspaper. There's a whole bag, a box full of that. Yeah, don't get me started on the whole postage thing at the moment. I was trying to find some spherical leveling washers, and I've ordered them from McMaster Car in the States, and maybe they'll come or maybe they won't, depends on their mood at the time. Oh my gosh. Ugh. So inside that box is a much smaller box. Mike, that's spot on. Hey Maddie, hope you're doing okay. I'm thinking of you down there. Hope everything's okay. How about a report? Hey Rustnox. So I'll be really disappointed if there's a smaller box inside this one with paper in it. Looks like there probably is. No, we're down to actual bits, which is cool. So this is all 12.5mm launch stuff. It's all wrapped up. So let's have a look and see what we've actually got here. This knife is pretty ordinary. It needs sharpening. So I've got nice launch faceplate for something. I have to find a chuck for that now. They can't have too many of those. I'm good. It's good to hear that, Maddie. Yeah, thinking of you down there. So that's a launch standard backplate for a chuck of some sort. Probably worth having. This is a nice live center. Not seeing launch written on it, but it's definitely a launch arbor. Don't know if this is much good to me like it is. Hey Scott. Spot on, Mike. This I think is genuine launch. It's definitely a launch arbor. Now this isn't much good to me because I don't have a tail stock that takes this arbor. This goes in my headstock. So a lot of live center in the headstock's not a whole lot of help. So that was thrown in anyway. That's probably worth hanging on to for a bit. Now these look like ring chucks, step chucks. Yep. They're actually not in bad condition. They're not. That one's not bent anyway. there should be a set of these. I hope there's a numbered set of them. It'd be really disappointing if they're all number 2s, which they're marked F launch. And this is a collet that takes rings up to that diameter. And they should all be numbered. And there it's a number 4. And this one's a number 2. That's a good start. Hey Greg. So this one's a number 1. That's it. That's pretty. So far we're doing really well. That one's a number 3. So number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. Yeah, that'd be awesome, Matty. We'd like to see an update. These are pretty good. I've got an external set that's a bit dead, actually, to be honest. Oh, look at that. It's a drill plate for the tailstock with a launch taper on it. Hey, Cam, good to see you. So that's a bit of a score. Anything with this taper on it is almost impossible to find. And here we have, what have we got? Don't know if these are all particularly useful, to be honest, because I think they're all the same. I think we might just have 3 of those. Let's see what else we got here. Gosh, this guy believes in newspaper and butcher's paper. That's crazy. Here's some more. This chirpy, hey Mark. Yeah, hope you're doing all right, Cameron. Everyone needs another 1/2 inch. Okay, these are long series launch. These are 2 series launch collets. They fit my lathe. We'll see exactly what we've got. I haven't seen these yet. I'm still opening them. That's another number 1. If we've got 2 sets, we might have to sell one on. That's number 5. That's a good thing. We've got another number 3. And another number 4. So we've got 2 number 1s, 2 number 3s, and 2 number 4s. We'll pick which one's the best one. And we've got 3 backing plates. Hey, go create. So this screws on the spindle of the lathe. And this is pulled in with a drawbar in the back, and that gives us gripping power to that basically squeezes this in and grips these. Now these are staggered. I think there's 5 in a set, so I've got a complete set there, which is really awesome. They don't look too abused. I've got an external set with a tapered this way, which grip on a cone on the back, and they're a bit of a mess, to be honest. They're really bad. Now I've got a drawbar for my lathe, but in this bag here, we're still opening. Now all this stuff has been used, I would imagine, in someone's tailstock on a lathe. Someone's parted out a lathe, and this is all tailstock stuff. Now that's not much use to me, and that's probably why we got it cheap, because this is a short series drawbar. This is a Lorch one, and this is for a tailstock, and that's really not much good to me because I haven't got a tailstock yet with that particular size bore. It'd be nice if I did, because it's probably a fairly useful thing if you've got a set of collets and centers and things. So that's another one that looks like it's probably sort of homemade. As is this one. Now I've had one of these for many years, and I actually shortened it up to go with my dividing head, if you remember. We'll catch you, matey. But I've got a good drawbar for my lathe. To give you some sort of idea, that's the headstock drawbar. So this is the tailstock drawbar, which is probably a little bit short on one end. So this one here is genuine Lorch, as is this one, I would imagine. I'm not sure about the other two. I reckon someone's probably made them up at some point. So the other bit, and the bit that usually commands the big dollars, these turn up from time to time and no one really wants them because they're a crazy amount of postage for something that's usually pretty knocked about. I've got lucky because they're really in good condition. But if we shift some of this stuff, that's a bit of a score. I'm going to need chuck now. 110mm 6-jaw bezel chuck. If anyone's got one, we can talk. But these are standard Lorch collets, and they're like rocking horse dung. Hopefully they're all standard sizes. Yeah, it looks like it so far. Not too many crazy Weiler or other German lathe manufacturers in here. So we've got some reasonable Lorch collets. This is 6mm, which is one size I never had. and a 4, and a 1.5, and a 2.5, and a 2, and a 3. We've got a 4, and a 5, and a 6, and a 7, and an 8. That's the one I haven't got. That's a bit knocked about though, so still looking for an 8mm collet. And a 9, and this one's probably, no, that's a 1mm. So I've got a couple of 10s that are not too bad, and the 9's okay. Looking at that 8's a bit knocked about. The 9's not too bad. That's a 7. I'm really not sure about this 8. We'll try him out, but this one here was why I bought the set, unfortunately, because this is the one I haven't got. So, hey Dennis. Welcome back, Mike. I've got to make some sort of collet rack. I've got probably 3 times as many of these collets, but they're all odd sizes. I still don't have a proper or a decent 8mm one, so I'm a bit annoyed about that. But the rest of them all look like they're actually in pretty good condition. So what would be more or less a standard set of collets there, I think. Chirpy, that's the next thing. The main issues with that is I've actually got a length of pre-hard 4140 here to do it, all cut to the right length to make collets. But it hasn't happened because I haven't got time. Anyway, too busy doing other stuff. So that's quite a haul. This cost me, landed here, about 400 Australian dollars. Now that a lot of this stuff's just dead weight, right? I'll pick the best one of these and hang on to it. I really don't need 3 of them. There's 3 of these that I might sell with one of these and get some money back, because they will sell. I'm probably going to hang on to the drawbars just in case I get a launch taper tailstock, which I think is the most uncommon one. My tailstock has this taper in it, which is 1.4 degrees or something, and that fits my tailstock. So, bit of a score that. Good for tapping probably, but only until I make a die stock or a die holder. So that's the main thing, is that I don't have time. These collets are probably quite easy to make, and I made WW collets quite successfully before for watchmakers lathes, and they come out pretty good. And I don't think I'd have any problems making these, but there's a bit of work in them and a bit of work in getting them accurate, and there's a bit of a procedure to follow so that they do stay accurate and on center and stuff. But pity that 9mm is not all that much better, but the 8mm has been abused, and that's a bit of a pity. Someone's tried to grab a bit of 7.5 stock in it, or you used it for 5/16 stock. That's a bit of a pain. Good morning, Dale. Good to see you. You just go and buy it. Just go and buy it. So that's what's in the box today. To my mind, the collets are worth that. These ones here, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. I've paid, in the past, I've paid about $20 each for those. So that's half the money. This set here, they're in really good condition, I think. There's no distortion. They don't look like they're damaged. That one's got a bit of a land on it there. That's the number 3, I think. And this one, which one of these is the number 3? Is that one? That's probably a better one. So but you'll see these a bit in videos because these are fantastic things to have. If you're machining them inside of a stock gear or a washer or something like that, they're a fantastic thing. They're really a good thing to have. And yes, I've got a mountain of newspaper here, mostly with Dutch language. So I don't think at this point that I've got a chuck for this backplate. If I do or I don't, that's a homemade looking thing anyway. But it's also got a hole for a C-spanner. I really want to get all my chucks that screw onto the outside. And this has got a C-spanner hole too, which is probably original. And so has that one. I would like to get all of my chucks with a lock collar on the outside so they don't unscrew in reverse. That's where I'm at with it. Thanks, Craig. I certainly will. Sherline don't make a chuck that big. Some of the German companies make a nice little 6mm self-centering ring chuck that's beautiful, with pie jaws on it. I would like one of them. I've always secretly liked one. I wanted one of them, but it's not probably ever going to happen because they're really expensive. Anyway, that's the haul from Holland. Thanks, Gary and others. That's awesome. Really appreciate that. Thanks, Willem. I can probably get by with it too, to be honest. I might sit down and have a look through it. This is pretty awesome to have. There was about 3 pages of accessories like this for tailstocks, and they're few and far between. You know, I've never really ever seen even an actual launch dead center. Anyway, that's cool stuff. Got a book today. Been holding out for this since Chirpy. These could do with, probably they want a box. It'd be really nice. I don't know what the best thing to do is. I probably need a collet rack for all my launch collets, of which I have probably 3 times as many as that. So I go through them sometime and work out which ones are the best ones and make some sort of a collet rack that's not going to hold dirt. But yes, Craig, I could make most things without too many issues for this machine now. But I would really like to find either a Morse Taper 2 tailstock or a Launch Taper tailstock, but I'm not sure about that. Anyway, I ordered this. Now, here's a bit of a strange tale. There was a tool collector had this on his website for sale for an exorbitant amount of money, and it was a genuine 1880s copy. This is a copy from 1882. Now, the one that he had for sale was the genuine, like, original, and it was a bit scary expensive. So I got surfing for it on the web because I thought I'd really like it. It's called The Young Mechanic, and containing directions for all use of all kinds of tools and the construction of steam engines and mechanical models, including the art of turning in wood and metal. Awesome book. Now, I got Angus and Robertson, which is a big bookseller here, or it used to be a big bookseller here. They're online now. They said, yeah, well, we'll send you one. So that was back at the beginning of November. Hey JB, I ordered this, and I got a message before Christmas saying, sorry, but you're not going to get it for Christmas. So I thought, well, it's only for me, so it's not a big deal, really. So I sent back a message saying, when am I going to get it? And then last week I got a message saying, thanks for your inquiry, it's in the mail. That's, 10 days later, something like that. Anyway, today it come. And it's a pretty awesome book, actually. It's a reprint from the 1880s. And it's got some excellent instructions on buying tools and buying lathes and building steam engines as such in the 1880s fashion. And some diagrams, not very many engravings, but some diagrams. So I'm going to sit down and read that at some point. Really pleased to get that, but there you go. That's just something that's going to interest me. I don't know if it interests everyone. But if there's any cool extracts, you might see them on Instagram or Facebook. So that's cool. Now, we have 2 prototypes at work. Take care, Russ Knox. Good to see you. 2 prototype clamps. Short one and a long one. A little bit impressed with these. They're starting to come together okay. This is these springs aren't what actually going to be fitted here. These are a bit thick. There's not a lot of spring in these, and they're not quite long enough there. Theoretically, they need to be sort of... Oh gosh, come on. Theoretically, they need to be that long, the springs, really, to work. So I've ordered some fancy die springs from the fancy die spring shop. So at least I'll get some the same, and they'll be the right size, and everything will be good. So they're on their way. I ordered them today. I also ordered from McMaster Carr in the US some spherical washers to go under here. They're self-leveling washers. Now, this is a bit of a problem in Australia. There is an Australian supplier that has them in stock. Dale, you're doing all right, really, for a poor old illiterate guy. So there is an Australian supplier has the 8mm spherical washers pairs in stock. These aren't going to be the final thing here, just so everyone knows. So they wanted for match pairs, they wanted $17 Australian each for the washer sets, and they wanted $15 each for postage. Now that's pretty crazy. That's what's 33, 35 bucks or something for postage on these. So I jumped on eBay, and there's a company in America that has them, and they want $6 US or something a pair. And they also want about $55 Australian postage, and I'm not sure if they're even going to combine. So that's out of the question for 4 sets. I think they're the same as a hex, but I'm not sure about this. A hex is the same. I'm not sure this is what we're going to end up with at all, even a little bit. I'm probably going to actually make bolts because I'm not sure I like these plated things. So I jumped on McMaster Car's website, and they've got them for $3.99, $2.99 a set. Same thing, exactly the same sizes. They look to be exactly the same thing. They're 17 millimeters outside diameter, which will fit on there nicely and should clear here easy enough. And postage was nominal. So I've actually sent my credit card through to McMaster Car, and if they decide to honour that, which they don't always, sometimes they just send stuff back, or sometimes they don't even bother processing the order. Sometimes they refund, and sometimes they actually send stuff, which isn't very often. So if they actually send it, we've got them sorted. But if they don't, I'm probably going to make them. And I'm probably going to use probably going to make bolts with a hex on here for a spanner and a flange, and then the bottom of the sphere or in the actual bolt, and then a spherical washer to go underneath them. I think that would be the nicest and the neatest way to do it. Thanks, Stephen. We'll see what happens there. They're only they're hardened and ground, but they're really only like $1 washer, you know. It's really not all that important. But anyway, that's the saga of the washers. I can get 1020 steel for this. For this piece and this piece in 50mm square. You could max grant it. That's very true. Thanks, Cam, for that. Connect. I will have a look for that. Appreciate that link. Probably I could do that, but getting bolts with enough thread on them to go all the way through and be threaded all the way up, there are some issues with that. So probably I can make something without too many issues. It's going to be really nice and do the job properly. Anyway, I can get C1020 or 1020 basically ordinary steel for these in 50mm square to make these, and 25 by 50 to make these. So that's probably what I'm going to do. I was trying for 12L14, which is leaded steel, which is probably a really good idea. And then I was just going to case harden them, because that stuff case hardens pretty nice, really. And that was going to be the easy way to do them, but I don't think that's really available here in Australia. It's another problem, is getting the steel, and it's fairly expensive to ship from anywhere. The other thing is I can make them out of aluminium and anodize them, which would probably be plenty good enough, because all the strength's compression, and when you bolt these down here, you can do these up pretty jolly tight, even with just the plastic ones. So all the strengths in compression. Willem, you're right. Cam, that was a really good video on horizontal knurling. Really enjoyed that. Thanks, Chirpy. I might look into that too. So even the plastic ones are pretty jolly good. That's not shabby at all. And I'm not really forcing that. I think we could go probably quite a lot tighter than that. And two of them would hold that down plenty good enough to mill with. So that's what I could do, is make these out of aluminium and anodise them, and they'd be really nice. I don't know whether that's practical or not. Anyone got any thoughts on that? They'd be a lot quicker made out of aluminium. There's a lot of nastier swarf. But I don't know. Aluminium is probably plenty good. Nylon or PEK is probably heaps good too. You know, I don't think you would ever damage them or break them. There's plenty of hold down force, and even in these 3D printed ones. The other thing is I've got to get them anodized, so that's a bit of a deal. I don't know where you do that, and I'm not real sure I want battery acid and battery chargers and things, dye and boiling water and stuff at special temperatures here in the workshop. That's a good point, Tom. Thanks for that. Appreciate that. So I can do them out of 1020, or I can get 1045, which is just a little bit silly. That's hard work. I really can't be bothered milling them out of that. The lathe's a little bit underpowered, so that's going to be the big issue really with the with making them up out of something like that, is boring them out and machining the outside diameters. So they're things that I could do. I could cut them out of steel and then probably case harden them, and they'd be really, really, really super good that way. Probably complete overkill like the rest of them already. Or I could do them out of aluminium and anodise them, and they look really nice too, but you've got to keep them clean and make sure there's no chips stuck under them or anything like that, like you just said. Hey, Gary. Big shout out. Thanks, Gary, for spoiling me with this box from Holland. I'm not going to go through it again, but go back and check out the first 10 minutes of the video if you want to see what was in that box. Anyway, that's where I'm at with that. I've got two prototypes that look pretty jolly good. I've got T-nuts, long T-nuts. I've ordered springs that are going to fit. I've got the top pieces here pretty much finished. I've got some ideas about bolts. I've ordered spherical nuts, spherical washers, and if they come, they come. If they don't, I'll probably make something. I'll get someone else to buy them for me. And that's a pretty cool project. Even if I say that, that's pretty crazy. Now, this block of brass, I've got 12 of these. And we all know about these. You Australian guys, you're going to get an email about this at some point. Just a reminder. The hashtag is 1212, 12 blocks of brass. Keep an eye out for that hashtag in the next couple of months. In a way, it's going to be an Australian thing, just Australian creators, I think. And John Creasy actually is in Canada for another couple of weeks, so I'm going to wait until he gets back and feels a little bit more rested up before I even approach him to take one of these on. But it might be fun. Got plans for them. What else? For some reason, the subs counter is, we've bumped the button. If we have a look, I've just turned that on again. Whoa! There we go. We're sitting at 0 live subscribers. It'll kick in and pick up the Wi-Fi in a minute. Maybe. With his lawn sprinkler. Yeah, that was a pretty cool video. Anyway, any progress on the 400? I was waiting for it. There's an elephant in the room. There's 2 elephants in the room, actually. One of them's a Stewart 400. My mate who's got the milling machine I've been using has been working 7 days a week for the last 3 weeks or something like that. And his wife hasn't been all that well either. So the couple of times I've seen him has been for a Christmas party and for basic catch-up stuff. So we haven't got that done. It's going to happen. It might even be this weekend. We were talking about it the other night. We've got a plan of operation and it really needs to be done because JB's hanging out to make a conrod for it too. So that's something that's going to happen pretty soon. And I really am getting sick of waiting for that. So that's going to be a pretty quick sort of a thing. There we go, 5740. So the 400s, we can go ahead and make parts for the 400, but probably not going to happen until we get the cylinder board, and that's only a few days or a week away, I think, hopefully. That wasn't me, Mike. You've got me confused with someone else, I think. The other elephant in the room, that was Blondie Hacks. Yep, that's Quinn. She's awesome. Check out Quinn Dunkey. Blondie Hacks, good channel, really good channel. She actually puts some time into editing stuff, and she has good content, which is more than what I ever do. Now, the other big thing that's happened this week is that Summer Bash 2020 has been announced in California on the 20th of June. So anyone who thinks that they'd like a trip to California, they probably should make it on the 20th of June because it's a pretty awesome event. Well worth going to. It is awesome. It's a really good event. It's good fun. There's a good swap meet. There's awesome raffle prizes. There's some good company. I imagine Mr. Pete will be there and just about anyone else in between. 20th of June. However, at this point, I don't think I'll be one of those people. I don't think I'm going to go to Summer Bash this year. I'm going to give it a miss. And with that, there's probably not going to be a tool making competition. There may be something else come up that's as much fun or something. I'll think of something. But at this point, I'm not going to get there because there are other things that I'd like to spend the couple of grand, $3,000 that it costs to get there on, if I actually had it in credit or in my bank. So at this point, I don't think that's the correct hashtag, Craig. I don't think that I'm going to get anywhere near Summer Bash. There's another event that I've been invited to, Good of the Land Fest in November in Texas. I'm not sure I'm going to get there either yet. I really don't know. But I'm probably going to stay home this year, and there's a machine that I'd really, really like in my workshop, and the trip to America would pay for that. So unless anyone jumps up and down and says, hey, here's a ticket, which I'm not really expecting, and rightly so, I'm probably at this point not going to go. They're subject to change, but at this point I'm probably not going to go. So there you go. Hey, Richard. I haven't got room for a service grinder, Craig. Thanks, Dennis. I'd really like to make it, but it's probably next year if it happens. It's a bit rough actually missing a year, but we'll get there. And we'll see. But from that point of view, there may not be a tool making competition this year. So thinking about things, thinking about stuff, there might be something cool, but probably isn't going to be a tool making competition. And mostly because when this news dropped this week that you'll be missed too, Dennis. When this news dropped this week that Stan's calling for names and stuff, that's cool. We were expecting it, but it feels a bit sudden and a bit soon. It's only the middle of January. But the thing is that it's really nice not having to worry about a tool making competition and not having to have prizes ready and not having to find a sponsor or not having to organize videos and updates and hashtags and all that sort of stuff, which is a colossal amount of work, to be honest. So that's kind of a very, it's something that's very, very attractive at this point. So maybe this year I might just say, hey, look, I'm going to sit back and make some projects, which is what I should do. And not stress too much about that. It's probably the only social event I go to this year or any year. But let's see what happens. It is. It's exactly like, Mark, it's like hot cross buns in Woolworths on Boxing Day. That's right. It happens. And we're a few months away, but if we're going to do this and if we're going to go and if we're going to have a tool making competition, the tool making competition is only 6 weeks away, something like that. 8 weeks maybe. So when you think of it like that, I'd soon not to do it this year. So anyone who had anything planned, still make your project. That would be awesome, but don't expect me to judge them because I just can't get there this year, and I'd like the year off to do other things. Splits 20. Who said that? JB. Take care, Dennis. Hope everything works out. I hope you're doing okay. Gold Coast Bash ain't going to happen. I think we all should go to Western Australia. The trouble is with having an event in Australia, and it's a really good, it's a good theory, but we don't have the viewers. We don't have the people who would travel, and everyone will say they'll go, and then a week before people will say, oh, it's going to cost me $350, $400 to get there. So I think I'll give it a miss. And I can't see that actually working. And even to get creators here, to get 4 or 5 of you from Western Australia here, or to get the 5 or 6 of us from this end of the country to Western Australia, or to get us all to Melbourne, or to get us all to Sydney or whatever. at this point, that's just, I don't know how Stan does it because it's a logistic nightmare. Also trying not to get cooked. That's exactly right. Um, that's where we're at, and people have got other priorities and other things that really mean they can't plan 2 months in advance, and that's part of the. It's not only just the economy here in Australia, but it's the part of the way people have got to live at the moment, and that's a bit crazy. So I can't see that happening at any point, but we'll see. We'll see. We ought to have a meet up and go to the Melbourne Model Engineering Expo or something like that. Might be fun. A few of us. That might be cool at some point in the future. But there you go. America's a little bit different because people come from all over, but they can drive and they, none of us are going to get in the car and drive to Western Australia. That's just not going to happen. Whereas people come from all over the states, and there's a lot more stops in between too, so it makes the trip a little bit more healthy. And there's a lot of people and a lot of creators and a lot of big creators, and it's got Stan, and I'm no Stan. I'm sorry. It's in October, Cam says. Yes, I'm aware of this. Yeah, everyone keep October free. Cam's going to host a tour of Eccentric Engineering's workshop and a visit to the Model Engineering Expo and a barbecue. Please. That's a big goal. Sorry, Cam. Yeah, it's a long way. Flights aren't cheap. It might be really cool though. So these things are possible, and some of you American guys should come over too. Absolutely. We expect Dale here. Dale should be here for sure. Matty was here. He says it's okay. He's going to do another video with a bit of a drive around. He says everything's okay if the wind doesn't change. I don't think they're out of danger yet by any means. So we'll see. Chirpy, you should totally come. Anyway, we're about an hour. We've talked about a lot of crap. Who's got a new video up that's worth looking at? Chirpy's got some really awesome videos on casting and that tool cutter grinder, which is a really cool build. Who else? Cam's got some good videos on making jaws for vice. Craig's busy, obviously, and yeah, but Chirpy, your videos are pretty watchable. Tommy's got a new surface grinder. That's pretty cool. That's worth a look. Who else is out there in YouTube land? Stephen Lang. What's Stephen Lang up to? I think he's busy grinding stones. But he's got a new lathe, and I think he's got a new chuck. So keep an eye out for a video about that. JB's is messing around with a EDM machine, so expect videos about that. John Creasy's AWOL. He's in Canada skiing, as you do. At Sun Peaks, I think. He's Yeah, that's AVE territory. So he's hanging out to have coffee with AVE and get a selfie. So let's see if that works. Anyway, I'm about done. Thanks everyone for watching and tuning in, for the support and the ideas. I think I've got a little bit more direction on these here, and I've got some direction on here. If anyone's got a really good idea or plan or way to display collets so that you can read them and so that they don't fill up with dirt, that'd be awesome too. And thanks for tuning in. Be kind to each other, and more soon.